All right, if you work in the food industry, you know that hygiene and safety are, well, they're everything, right? But have you ever stopped to really think about where that responsibility actually begins? I'll give you a hint. It's not when you clock in. So let's get into it and break down the absolute must-do checklist for every food pro before you even walk out your front door.
So yeah, think about it for a second. Does it start the moment you walk through the kitchen doors? When you wash your hands for the first time at the prep sink? Or maybe when you put on your apron? We tend to focus so much on what happens at work, but the most important part of food safety might just be happening a lot earlier than you think.
Yep, that's it, right there. The foundation for a safe, clean shift is built the moment you start getting ready in the morning. What you do in your own bathroom, in your own closet, it creates this ripple effect that touches everything: your kitchen, your coworkers, and every single customer who trusts you with their food.
And there's a name for this whole process: pre-work hygiene. And let's be super clear, this is so much more than just looking presentable. This is a professional discipline. It's your first, and you could argue, your most important line of defense against bringing outside germs and contaminants into a clean food environment.
So, to make this all really easy to remember, we've broken it down into a simple 3-step routine. First up, we've got a fresh start. Then, we move on to clean attire, and finally, we'll cover those crucial last-minute final checks.
All right, let's dive into that first and most fundamental step, a fresh start. And this is all about making sure you are a completely clean slate before you even think about putting on your uniform.
And here it is, the golden rule: shower or bathe before every single shift. No exceptions. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. We all have bacteria, like staphylococcus, that live on our skin and in our hair. It's totally natural. A quick shower just washes it all away, so you're not unknowingly giving it a free ride into the kitchen.
Okay, so you're squeaky clean. Now what? It's time to get dressed. This brings us to step 2, clean attire. And this is about way more than just the apron or chef coat you put on when you get to work.
Here's the key thing to remember. Think of your clothes as a shield. It doesn't matter if it's your official uniform or the clothes you wear on the bus. They have to be spotless, every shift. Because dirty clothes, they're basically a taxi service for microbes, just waiting to transfer germs to your hands, to kitchen surfaces, and yeah, eventually, to the food.
And now for our last step, the final checks. This is where we get into the small details that have a huge impact. We're talking about your hands and wrists, the most important tools you have in this business. Getting this part right is what separates the amateurs from the pros.
Let's talk about your fingernails. The rules here are incredibly strict, and for very good reason. Your nails need to be kept short, trimmed, and filed smooth. Why? Because that little bit of space under your fingernails is the perfect hiding spot for nasty bacteria. And that is exactly why nail polish and false nails are an absolute no-go. They create 2 huge risks. First, the physical risk of chipping off into food, and second, the biological risk, because they hide dirt and germs that even the most thorough hand washing just can't reach. And you know what? The exact same logic applies to your jewelry. Watches, bracelets, rings with cool stones, they look great, but they are full of tiny little crevices. And those crevices are like 5-star hotels for food particles, grease, and bacteria. It's almost impossible to clean them properly during a busy shift. So the only exception in most professional kitchens is a single plain band ring. It's smooth, simple, and carries a much, much lower risk.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together into one simple checklist you can run through every morning. Think of it like a pilot's pre-flight check before taking off for your shift.
All right, let's lock this in. Here are the 5 points on your daily checklist. Number 1, always start with a shower or bath. 2, dress in completely clean clothes. 3, check your nails. Make sure they're trimmed and filed. 4, confirm you've got no nail polish or false nails. And 5, leave the jewelry and your watch at home, except for that one plain band ring. You master these 5 things and you're starting every day like a true professional.
You know, those 5 steps aren't just a to-do list. They really represent a professional mindset. And that brings us to this quote, which just hits the nail on the head. Your dedication to keeping food safe doesn't start when you punch in. It starts with the high standards you set for yourself at home.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. After everything we've talked about, what's the one thing on this checklist that you are going to make a point to double-check before every single shift from now on? Is it your nails? Taking off that watch? Because just remember, that one extra moment, that one little check could be the critical difference between a safe meal and a serious problem.
Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.
If you want to dive deeper into any of this, you can find a ton of great resources over at foodsafetyfocus.com. Stay safe and stay professional.